and I will tell you an awful lot about this great airplane and its heritage and the things it has accomplished. First of all, I can tell you coming in that according to the record books and the people who keep track from the Pentagon and whatnot, there were a total of 139 of the C-5As and the C-5Bs that were built. C-5Bs constitute, it has been written, 50 of those models. The balance was the C-5A model. Now, there is a new C-5 that is being tested as we speak. It's called the C-5M, C-5 Mike Super Galaxy. And what they're doing, including upgrading the avionics of the giant C-5, is they're going to change the engine to the engine that powers the Boeing 767 airliner. And what does that mean to the airplane? Well, it will have tremendous more thrust. It will be the equivalent of adding a fifth engine on the C-5. It will give it reliability. It will reduce the fuel consumption. It will get it off the runway 30% quicker. It will get it up to cruise altitude tremendously faster because of that engine change. And I read in the trade publications that a total of 52 of the airplanes are going to be re-engined. We looked at that. It changes day in and day out depending on whose articles you read and how current the information that comes out of the Pentagon and the DOD is given to the trade publications. The C-5 Galaxy was chosen over transports that were actually proposed by both Boeing and Douglas. Between 1967 and 1961, they built 81 of those C-5As, and then when production was reinstituted, when they reopened the production line, a very expensive and challenging thing to do, between 1984 and 1989, they built 50 of those C-5Bs. Now, Rob, I was in Thursday, I went back to the hotel, into the Marriott, and I heard a distinctive sound. And so that's got to be a C-5 coming in on final approach. It has an engine sound that's so distinguishable, a jet engine sound, you just know that's a C-5 without even looking up, because its noise footprint is different than any other airplane that I know of.
That's very true. Dayton, Ohio has been home to so many distinctive airplanes. For many years, Dayton, Ohio was home to the B-52 bomber. I remember visiting my aunt when I was a kid in Oakwood and hearing and seeing B-52s flying over. They would rumble. My aunt had hearing aids, but she always knew when the 52s were coming in, but they're going to come by in one of those slow speed passes, so we're going to get that incredible whine as it goes by. Turn it around. Now look at the difference in the distance it takes to turn the C-5 around. Watch them bank. It's not going to bank quite as much as that C-17 did.
Now, Rob brings up a very good point. In a very short period of time, you have seen the contrast in technology. Remember, we are not saying anything bad about this airplane because a lot of information has been given to the C-17 on how to carry bulk. A lot of information given from the C-130 Hercules on how to turn tight. So there's the difference right there. That's why we always have to improve. Will the C-17 and the C-130 replace the C-5? The answer is no. They will all augment one another.
It is not much different than the fact that the B-2 stealth bomber that we saw fly by, and the B-1 and the B-52 will work as a triad to be America's nuclear strike force or even a conventional strike force in heavy and long-range bombers. But the C-5 Galaxy coming through, they call it the Giant from Georgia.
Yes, Lockheed, Georgia, and Marietta, just north of Atlanta. The first C-5 flew, according to records, June 30th, 1968. Whoa, that's some years of service. The improved version of C-5B, it is said, flew September 10th, 1985. Now, the last one off of the production line was delivered to the United States Air Force in April of 1989.
As it comes in, we told you that the maximum gross weight of the C-17 was 585,000 pounds. the maximum gross weight of the C-5B Galaxy. It's empty, 375,000 pounds, fully loaded. Get this, Danny Glisham, 838,000 pounds. That's 400 plus tons.
And if you had some Greyhound or transport buses, you could easily drive them up the front or rear ramp and fit them inside and transport them if necessary, and anything else of that nature. And again, just like the C-17, a fully combat-ready Abrams tank could roll down that ramp, front or back, and on its way to combat in a very short period of time. The outside cargo, the big fuel tanks, the big howitzer, self-propelled howitzer, the 3/4 ton truck, the helicopters with their blades lashed down could all fit inside of this airplane. Like the one we have on ground display, there is a forward ramp that you can drive up or walk up. There is a rear ramp that you can drive up or walk up. Look back and see the nose on the one that's on display area. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 28 tires, and sometimes we talk about 28 tires and say, you forgot the spare in the belly. There's only 29. Okay. Oh, that's not fair.
The wingspan of the C-17, 169 feet 10 inches. The wingspan on the C-5 Galaxy, 220.